Hey, it's Mike at Narcoleptic Customs, coming tonight to go over just a quick recap of Project Elsie, kind of where we are in the whole stage of the build. So if you haven't seen the other videos, Project Elsie is a 90 model Toyota Land Cruiser that we're building for a customer to be a daily driver. Now, along with that comes, daily drivers need reliability, they need available parts. That's a big part of why we're doing this. And then they need to just be easy to get in and drive anywhere across the country. So that's our plan with this one. It's a 90 model Land Cruiser, super clean interior. The outside is really straight, although it is very dirty right now. It really needs a bath, but we really wanted to get it in and get it started. And I haven't obviously had time to wash it since then. So being that it's a 90 model, being that we wanted to go with an LS swap, which I know is a big thing everybody's doing right now, but it makes a lot of sense for a daily driver, mainly because parts are inexpensive, relatively, and anybody could fix it. So that's part of the thing. The gentleman that owns this drives quite a bit, and so he wanted something that he could drive anywhere. He can get in, he can start it up and drive away. So our main focus was obviously probably buying something that was like a Tahoe or a truck. Generally, Tahoes and Suburbans are less expensive than a pickup. So he actually found an 02 two-wheel drive, which is kind of I'll tell you about that in just a minute. But with having a two-wheel drive, we knew it wouldn't have had a hard life off-roading or anything like that. So the two-wheel drive works out in two ways. One, we knew it was probably just a family hauler. And then two, with the advanced adapters transmission adapter, to make the 4L60 to the Toyota transfer case, you actually have to have a two-wheel drive because of the output shaft out of the transmission. So it really worked out in that respect for that. So to break down the previous 15 videos, videos 1 through 6 are really kind of setting the stage for the truck, pulling the Tahoe in, taking the engine out, taking the parts out, pulling the wiring harness, things like that. 7 through 15 is really getting the body mounted on this new frame. To do that, I put lift mounts, things like that. So that's really a breakdown of the videos to getting us up until here. So episode 14 was actually the first time I'd put the engine in the engine bay there. So kind of a big step. It's out now, obviously, because I have to change some fuel rails and things like that. But you can go back and watch those later. So I'd like to go over a couple of the thoughts and experiences I've gotten now. I've learned from LS swapping the Land Cruiser. So first off, Advanced Adapters is a great company. They offer a ton of adapters for just about any kind of any kind of transfer case. They're really a good bunch of folks. But I learned something very quickly about the Land Cruiser. In 1990, technically it's the last year for the FJ62. But in late 90, just like every car manufacturer does, they started manufacturing the FJ80, which is the next body style up. It's a little bigger, but it's all-wheel drive. So that was our first problem. So when I called the tech line to order the adapter to make sure we got the right one, they told us we needed an adapter for an FJ80. So me, being green to the Land Cruiser bodies and all the different designations, I ordered it. It's $1,500, $1,422 plus $78 shipping. So ordered it, $1,500, boom, right out of the gate. When we get it, me and the owner we're trying to put it together. We start looking and we're like, this doesn't look quite right. So we get to going back through. Well, for the FJ62, obviously it was built into 1990 because obviously the 90 model. So with that being said, Advanced Adapters had their paperwork just a little wrong, not a lot, but it was just in the way they worded their years. So we got that fixed, but it gave us a holdup because, so while it only took a week to get the transfer case back to us, or to get it to us in the first place, so I ordered it, received it that next Thursday, boxing all the pieces back up, getting it back out to them refunding our money, and ordering the new one, the actual one that fits the FJ62 body style, took about 3 weeks. So while we were ahead, the extra 3 weeks actually put us behind. So that's one thing I did learn, is I needed to do just a little more research, in depth, with the body styles and knowing the difference and how to tell the difference in the transfer case. Because if I had seen the paperwork from Advanced Adapters, I would have seen that it wasn't going to be the right one. Not that it wouldn't have fit, but that it wasn't going to be the right one. So that cost me a couple weeks and a lot of frustration, mainly because I won on myself for not doing the amount of work ahead of time to know what I was looking at, and then two, to take it apart and realize it was wrong. So luckily we didn't cut anything with the trans, because you have to cut the output shaft. We didn't cut anything with that going into the FJ80 setup. So that was one plus, but again, took a lot of time out of the way. We ordered body mounts from 4Crawler Off-Road for this, for a 1-inch lift to clear 33-inch tires, which obviously these aren't. These are like a 29 or a 29 and a half, something like that. Tire. So he wants to run a little bigger tire, get a little better look. So to do that, we obviously wanted to go with the body lift because it's easy. It was 1 inch, so we weren't going to have to change anything, and we needed to mount the body onto the frame anyways. So ordered that. We sifted through. He had 2 sets of factory body mounts. Sifted through those. Made sure we got the best 10 that go on this truck, and used those with the mount. Now, the thing about ordering a lot of parts, I order a part for the C10 I'm building, Stanley. I can usually go to AutoZone and pick it up, or I can O'Reilly's in Centerton and pick it up. Or I can just jump on Amazon, type in, hey, 66 GMC C10, I don't know, whatever part I need, right? Well, Land Cruisers aren't quite that easy. So they had to actually make the body lift, which was awesome because that means it's made to order. The problem with that is timing. So it took 3 weeks to get those, and while they're a great company, and he'd email me back in 2 minutes, usually, well, say 30 minutes, he'd usually email me right back, but it still took time to get those. So going into the next build, if a customer wants a lift, we'll order that ahead of time. So I was really, in the early part of the truck, I was more reactive than I was proactive, which is never a good plan. So remember that. The next experience is the transfer case disassembly. So it is a split transfer case, and I'll show a picture now. So a split transfer case is awesome from what I understand. I don't know. I don't do four-wheel drive stuff. So, but in opening that transfer case up, it is gear driven, okay? Not like a Chevrolet or a Dodge that's chain driven like the late model stuff. This is gear driven, I mean specifically beefy to handle off-road use, which is what this truck was made for. So while that is great and fine and dandy, there are very few videos on YouTube, on the internet, on anywhere that shows any kind of disassembly, assembly, how to put it together, how to take it apart, anything. So I've got one loaded, and I'll link it down in the description. Okay, so I hope it's probably the only one on YouTube that I could find. I'm sure there's others, but they're named something very different. I don't know. Anyways, so I have about 14 hours, legitimate, clocked in 14 hours in disassembly, research, disassembly, and assembly back onto the to the adapter there. So 14 hours is a long time when you're figuring that this project's going to take 60 to 80. So you can imagine the little bit of hang up I had there. It was very frustrating, mainly because there was no information out there. So anyways, we figured it out, took it apart slowly, put it back together slowly, make sure we got everything lined up. That brings us to our next point. So exhaust manifolds, pretty important piece. So on the I Hate Mud forum, they were talking about that you could use Corvette manifolds. Well, I remembered my buddy Jeremy Merriman at Administration Motorsports had just done long tubes on a C7 Corvette. And he had posted up, does anybody want these? You know, blah, blah, blah. I don't need them. They're in the floor. Get them out of the way. So I reached out to him and said, hey, are they still available? Can I come grab them and try them? So ended up with a great set, factory, low miles, C7 Corvette manifolds. Don't work for shit. They don't work. They don't fit. So you can't just go, oh, Corvette manifolds work. Because that's what I did. So luckily, Jeremy's nice enough. He didn't charge me for them. So now I have these set that I think we're probably going to sell, I guess. I don't know. Maybe we'll find a use for them on some other car. But what I do know now, after digging deeper and deeper, is that a set of C5 or C6 manifolds will work. So I posted on Facebook, I said, does anybody in my circle of friends have a set that I could borrow to mount up to see if I can even get them to work? Luckily for us, a guy named Lee Paul had put some, I think he'd put some long tubes on his a year ago and had left these, the cross pipe or the X pipe and the down pipes at a shop that he had had the work do. He had had the work done at, right? So he calls them and says, hey, do you still have those manifolds laying down there in the floor somewhere? They said, get down here right now. They're on the truck to go to the scrap yard. If you can get down here before the trailer leaves, you can have them back. So he jumps in his truck, drives 30 minutes to Springdale to pick these up for us. I'm so excited. They actually fit and they work, and it's a huge plus because now we don't have to spend money on those, because Lee was nice enough to donate them to the cause and donate them to the truck, so that way we can save that bit of money. So I really appreciate having good friends that will help out when needed. That's a big plus and a lot of savings, because the manifolds that we would have had to buy, or the headers we would have had to buy, were a minimum of $180 just to make some that kind of fit, or get some that kind of fit. So that's a big bonus. So let's talk about wiring. So everybody hates wiring. I get it. I kind of enjoy it because I want to figure it out myself, right? So I want to figure out how things work, how you plug in stuff, how it all makes sense. But anyways, in one of the earlier videos, it's me pulling the engine harness off of the Tahoe engine and trans. So basically we took it from there. We took it to our buddies over at lsxharness.com. Todd and Blake McCullough, awesome guys. They basically turned it around in 2 weeks, which was a huge plus because I was really up against the wire on timing with some travel for work and things like that. So they really knocked it out quick. It allowed me to basically put it on the engine in 25 minutes. So that was a huge benefit. If you watch some of the Stanley videos, it's me working on the engine harness for about an hour and a half, just reinstalling after I cut it down myself. So Todd and Blake use a great loom. It's super easy. Everything is labeled. I mean, it's really the way to go. It would have been more beneficial for me to do it on the old truck, but I want to do things myself if they're mine, because I want to try and figure it out if I can do it or not. So that's kind of where we're at right now. Is the engine has been in and out of the truck, in and out of the Land Cruiser a couple times, checking mounts, checking things, checking fitments, checking clearances, things like that to see what I have to move. So it doesn't look obviously like I have to move much. I will have to reroute these lines here, which are heater hoses or something. I don't know. They run down into the back seat. I don't understand what that means. So our next phase for the truck is to get the engine in, get the engine mounts welded into the chassis so we can get it lined up and make sure everything is good to go there. I need to hook up the drive shafts. So fuel lines I need to do, I have them ran under the truck, but I need to hook them to the engine. So fuel lines, I need to begin wiring with this, hooking the harness from Blake and them onto the body, which you can see here is a jumbled mess. So I have to get a wiring diagram for this so I can figure out what goes where and how much power it needs and everything like that. So we've got to sort the drive shafts. I think there's probably going to be a little bit of a clearance issue with the transmission pan. So I'm sure I can massage the pan a little bit to get around it, basically from what I've seen on the I Hate Mud forum. So I haven't actually put the drive shaft in yet to see where we're at on it. So obviously there's no front body work here. So once we get the engine in and get everything plumbed, then we'll install the body work and go from there. And then we can start driving it basically sorting hoses for the power steering pump, for the air conditioner, things like that. So I had planned originally for this to take, being that it was my first big install where there was nothing here, planned for 60 to 80 hours worth of install. I'm right now at 68.25 hours, which when you factor in the 14 hours worth of transfer case disassembly and reassembly and all that, I don't feel like that's too bad. So I'm obviously going to be a little over on my hours that I planned, but it's been great experience. I've learned a ton of stuff, basically moving through the process. So if you have any questions, put them down in the comments. If you have any tips, I should have been asking for those a long time ago. Put those down in the comments. And to see more on Project Elsie and all of the other stuff we have going on this summer, subscribe to the channel. And you can also find us on Narcoleptic Customs on Facebook. So thanks for watching. We appreciate it.